mean, hopefully a cop doesn't drive by. Otherwise, he's gonna think that you're base jumping, and I'm gonna tell him that you're base jumping, and I'm not.
They're gonna prosecute me.
That'll be fine. Alright, so I didn't have time to finish the video I was working on, so instead we're gonna do a last minute video, and we're gonna take Alex, my girlfriend Alex, on her first base jump, and we're gonna death camp her.
Oh no.
Obviously, I'm kidding. I'm gonna show you guys how we do a typical gear check. This is gonna be very simplified. Later we're gonna get into a more in-depth kind of gear check and how different kinds of malfunctions can arise from improper gear checks and improper routing. So let's get started. Alrighty then. First things first. So we have Alex set up for handheld essentially. So you have your pilot chute set in the bottom of the BOC. We're going to pull our bridle out just enough to where we can tuck it in around the arm strap, or if you have an Apex rig, we have the mag bridle so we can magnet it up top before we even gear up. But we want to make sure we don't pull out the pilot chute prior to gearing up. This has actually resulted in a few fatalities where the bridle was routed on the inside of the harness itself and the parachute wasn't able to deploy. Once you're rigged up like this, if Alex had rigged herself up by herself, I helped her a little bit, she would pull her pilot chute out with her hand. She would follow the bridle over and have the bridle go over her thumb. Go and put your hand out. Hold your hand out at length, just like that. Like that.
Grab my arm. The other arm. My other arm.
Yeah, perfect. So then you'll just essentially throw the pilot chute on the ground, and then what we're gonna do is, I'm just gonna pretend like I'm you because it's easier. Just gonna S-fold that into our hand. We wanna make sure the bridle goes over the top. This is one of the most commonly used routing methods, just to ensure we don't accidentally hook the bridle when we toss it. Then we're just going to S-fold the mesh, and there's a bunch of different ways of doing this. For simplified version here, we're just going to do the grenade version that looks very sloppy, and I'm going to have you grab that. And just try and grab your fingers around the front. Yep, that looks good. Cool. Okay. Now we're coming back to the back, and Alex has already checked her gear before putting it on, so this is essentially a secondary gear check. She'll say, all right, can you give me a gear check? First thing I'm actually gonna do is check her straps. Chest strap and leg straps, just make sure they're all tight, everything's good. Everything looks good here. Then we come to the back, I'm gonna open up the flap, and when you're doing a gear check, we essentially wanna confirm by 3 methods. The first is tactile, by touch. Second is going to be visual, what our eyes see, and the third is going to be audibly reciting what we're basically checking for as we're doing it. This is to ensure all 3 of these methods match up, and also so that we can, someone's waving, and also so that we can reiterate them to the jumper so that they understand what we're checking and we're ensuring that it's consistent with what they remember when they check their own gear. All right, you route it out through the middle. Velcro is mated up top, so you have slack up top. Good pin tension. You have movement on the top pin. Pin is primed up to the 1 o'clock position. When I say primed, we mean that the pin is slightly removed from the closing loop so that it has a shorter distance to travel when the pin is popped. The slack up top and the slack in the middle is actually what allows the pins to still be popped if you're really head low. This allows for the pins to pop individually in sequence as opposed to simultaneously in parallel. Parallel would essentially require a higher combined force to pop both pins. Slack in the middle. Bottom pin has movement, good pin tension, primed up to the 1 o'clock position, and the bridle is routed out clear over, attached to the magnet bridle up top. Extend your hand for me. Bridle's clear all the way out over the thumb. A lot of jumpers will ask if you want to leave the flap open or closed. Really depends. Some people like to tuck this back in behind here. It's really personal preference. You can get temporary pin locks from having the flap closed in very low free fall at low air speeds. A number of these are covered at watchthybridle.com, and I'll be going over these in more depth in a later video. There are some methods where if you deploy on your side or if you're doing barrel rolls and you get these pins to lock underneath here, it requires more force than it otherwise would if it's simply being pulled out this way. Another very important gear check that I think goes underrated, which actually kind of sparked me to create this video to begin with, is ensuring if you're wearing any other gear or any other straps are present on your body that are not connected to your rig, you want to make sure all of these are tucked away and stowed so that they are not going to be a problem in free fall. Here we have Boone actually have a little scare from the strap on his fanny pack, or the strap from his fanny pack actually flaps out a little bit, and when he goes to reach and pitch his pilot chute, he actually grabs both the strap and his pilot chute, and you can see him flail a little bit towards the end because he thought that his pilot chute had actually slipped out of his hand, though he successfully threw his pilot chute, and the strap is actually what slipped out of his hand, fortunately. All right, have a good jump. Sick. And the reason we're here at this antenna is I actually need drone footage of an antenna for a video that I wasn't able to complete on time for this week's release. So we're kind of filming for 2 videos in one here. So now I'm gonna get some drone footage of this big old antenna here. Should be pretty cool. See you guys in the next video.